So we were talking a little bit off air about the OJ verdict, because when we heard about Princess Catherine's cancer diagnosis, it was one of those shocking moments.
Where were you?
Yeah, and you knew exactly where you were, like when the space shuttle exploded, or when Princess Diana died, or the OJ verdict. So where were you during the OJ verdict?
The best place I could be, law school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you following it as a law student during the whole trial?
Well, everybody was following it because it was pop culture. But yeah, as a law student, I was following it. And because of the fact I was a law student, I saw it in a different way.
Yes.
And that's why the verdict didn't surprise me at all. In fact, everyone was getting mad at me because I'm like, they're not getting him on this. I'm like, he's going to walk.
And they're like, no, they have to because he's guilty. And that's how justice works. And you're like, no, they're doing it wrong.
Right.
When did you realize that the case was unraveling with OJ?
The gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's when everybody knew. When it was put the gloves on and it was just like, no, it's like, what are you doing?
And he's got the little latex glove underneath. So it's all friction. It's like,
they could have sanded his hands and fingers down and that glove wouldn't have fit.
Yeah.
He was just never going to put it on the right way. And what do? Force him? So it was one of those things where it was just like,
I might have done that. Might have got a little Vaseline and lubed up his hand.
Tie him down, force that glove on his hand.
Just right in there.
Yeah. So that's when everybody knew. And it was one of those things that I think it was a weird polarizing moment because I was like, I don't understand why people are taking sides on this, because it's like, are you on the side of, if you don't prove the case, you walk? Or was it one of those first racial moments where it was somehow black versus white? And to me, it was never black versus white. It was, this is how you don't try a case.
Yes.
And that was the lawyer hat.
But they also, they did a lot of things wrong. I mean, Judge Ito did a lot of stuff wrong. I think this will be endlessly fascinating. But also, if you watch O.J. Simpson Made in America, did you see that like 8-part docuseries on ESPN? It was fascinating and really well done. And the person who directed that, Ezra Edelman, he was actually a researcher in 1998 on the Olympics when I worked with him in Nagano.
Wow.
And so it was him and 3 other researchers, and they were all so incredibly smart. And their job was to fly all over the world and interview every single Olympic athlete in every sport. And they were just the most fascinating researchers. And so, and I had been following his career, and I saw it, and I was like, he did such a great job of breaking down what the problems were in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And, and this was after Rodney King. It's kind of easy to get those timelines sort of off or confused, and they didn't do a good job of taking into consideration how the racial imbalance had affected people in the city.
But to me, again, I always take it from the lawyer perspective of when you rush a case as a prosecutor, this is what happens. And as a lawyer, you have to know when you're ready to try your case. And if you have a weak case, that's when you sit down and start negotiating and you start plea bargaining. And that was one of those cases where they just wanted him so bad.
Yes. And they knew he was guilty. Everyone knew he was guilty.
And that's
again, if you watch that docuseries, everyone around was like, yeah, he's guilty. He even said he was guilty.
Yeah.
Like, he told me he was guilty. And it's like, Jesus.
Yeah. And whenever someone comes to me with a law, because I still practice law, and someone says to me, what do you think the outcome of this case is? I'm like, I don't make predictions. And when they're like, well, don't you have a feeling? I'm like, look, OJ, that's all you need to know about. If you think you can win a case and it's lock solid and everyone saw what happened, no, there's no such thing, especially with a jury. With a judge, a bench trial, you kind of get a feel for it because the law is the law and the judges pretty much know how to do it.
Yes.
But with a jury, you have no idea.